The next step before I begin is to connect to all of you. So I just asked for permission. Again, I'll hold the pendulum up so you can see it. Might as well. So I asked, can I, may I, and shall I do a reading for my Insight Timer friends and family, both those that are listening now and those that will come on later? And so it starts to spin in a clockwise direction, which means yes. Then I ask, is there any reason why I shouldn't at this moment in time? And it stops and it'll spin. I can already feel the energy moving. I don't really even need to hold the pendulum, but it's kind of fun. Anyway, so it moves counterclockwise. Nope, there's no reason why we can't do a reading at this moment in time. And then it's going to stop again. I'm going to ask it to stop. And then I ask that everybody's intuition is raised to the highest level that they can accommodate with at this moment in time. Allow their souls to speak freely and clearly for everyone's highest and best good. And as the pendulum is spinning clockwise, it's just elevating that intention and that vibration, that energy. There you go. All right, Simran, you're feeling a bit ungrounded, and this was amazing. Fabulous. I'm so glad. Well, you know what? I'll just incorporate that in, because sometimes I rush to try and do the clearing before I come on. But if that's helpful, then let's do it. Let's do it together. I am happy to do it together. All right. So for those of you that are new here, I am Nancy from Nancy Inspired. I have a gift that I call soul telepathy. I am able to hear what your soul is trying to tell you for your own highest and best good. I do not do divination. I can't tell you what's going to happen in the future. When I do a one-on-one reading, I'm hearing what your own soul, what's going on for you at this moment in time. When I do a collective reading, it's like finding the common denominator. What is the most important information for everybody here at this moment in time? The first half of the session, I do like collective messaging, what's good for everybody. I record that part just so that I can hear it back. I also place it other places. The second part is I don't record, and that's individual readings. I ask people to put their names in at that time. Don't do it now because it'll get caught up in the chat and I'll miss it. But when I'm ready, I'll say put your name in. If you were here last week and I missed you, I do have that list, and I try to put those people to the top so that I can make sure that I'm getting to people if I don't get to everybody. So, but before we begin, I just want to say an extra special thank you to all of you. I know followers and likes and stuff aren't, I try not to think about that too much, but just 2 days ago, Friday, my Insight Timer reached 1,000 people. So my Insight Timer profile now has 1,000 followers. And I remember when I first started on Insight Timer and I had 45 people, and it was it stayed at 45 people for months and months and months and months. And I was like, okay, that's fine. Even if one person's listening, that's great. And if I can help one person, that's wonderful. But then to know that I potentially am reaching 1,000 people, and hopefully elevating human consciousness, because that's when I was given my gift, that's what I was told that I have to do, is elevate human consciousness one person at a time. So knowing that I have 1,000 people that are interested in my messaging and what I have to say just really made me feel like I am truly stepping into my gift, which is why, as I move into retirement a year from now or a year and a half from now, I feel like I'm ready. I feel like it's time for me to do this full time. So I just want to say extra special thank you, because it's these Sunday lives that have really given me that motivation and encouragement. So I just wanted to, big thank you. Big thank you to you guys. Okay, that said, let's move on to some messaging. Sip of water first. And I see all the congratulations. Thank you so much. I really, you guys have really, I've been doing this for 20 years, but I've really jumped into it because of this community. So thank you. All right. And Chris, I see that you love reading. I'm going to ask, just wait till I'm ready to do the collective. Otherwise, your name's I'll miss you accidentally. So put your name in about half an hour. When I say, okay, I'm ready for individual readings, then put your name in. Okay. All right, here we go. Let's see what we got going on for collective wisdom for this week. I got tingles all over. Where are we landing? It's sort of like, feels like I'm spinning a wheel today, and it's like, okay, where am I gonna land? Oh, okay. All right. So it was like this tingle all over my body. It felt like I was like spinning the wheel, and it was trying to figure out where it was going to land. And then it landed in my knees, and I was like, where's this messaging in my knees? And then what I got is the idea of pivoting, right? That maybe because my granddaughter just started playing soccer, the idea of pivoting. And so what I just got is for this coming week that there are going to be, again, I don't do divination, but there are always in life opportunities where we have to pivot. We have to change and pivot and go in a different direction. Now, the reason why I felt it in my knees is because if we are rigid and we are being called to pivot and we are rigid, that's how knee injuries happen. That's how injuries happen. We don't get to go in the right direction that we need to go. And so what I'm hearing is that as life is happening, as issues are coming up, as directional shifts are being called upon, it's important that we stay flexible and we allow ourselves to pivot. We might not know exactly what's going to happen. When we pivot, what direction are we going? What's happening over there? But if we remain flexible when we pivot, we are less likely to be injured in the process. And I'm not talking physical injury. I'm talking metaphoric injury, right? That change is hard. And when we need to pivot and change directions, it's difficult, right? Often it's difficult. Sometimes when it just kind of gets thrown at you, you pivot and because you have to. But if you can pivot with fluidity, if you can pivot with grace, if you can pivot with an acceptance of the change, an acceptance of the change of direction, it's going to be a lot easier on your mind, body, and spirit. So I'm hearing that as things come up this week, be aware and try and be flexible with that pivot, with that change. And then you will be more likely to be able to adjust and continue running as opposed to, injuring yourself. So as things are coming up, be aware of being asked to pivot and change and adjust, and use that analogy of 6-year-old playing soccer. If you pivot with flexibility and grace and acceptance that you need to change directions, you are less likely to get hurt than someone who's in their 50s running and going to pivot. I am less easy to change direction, more likely to get hurt. But I like that bit of messaging. Sweet and simple. Yeah, sweet and simple. All right, so adding to that, what I'm hearing. Okay. So what I'm getting is that just like pivoting into change, what I'm also hearing, and this must be because it's soccer season going on here, but what I'm hearing is sometimes you got to zigzag and you're switching directions. And what I'm hearing is that that's okay. Is that sometimes we feel like when we're changing our minds, right, that there's somehow, oh, we made a bad choice, or, oh, I'm wishy-washy, or, oh, I'm not persevering, or I'm not being resilient. Sometimes it's perfectly okay to change your mind and go in a different direction. And that's what I'm hearing as well. So along with that sort of pivot and change, when change is coming at you, what I'm also hearing is that it's okay to change your mind. So what I'm hearing is that is as we are, I'm just getting a bunch of stuff. So, okay. So as you're moving along, you're going along in life, you've got your stuff, things are going on, We have what we bring to the table, our past experiences, our genetic makeup, our idiosyncrasies, our strengths, our weaknesses, and all the things we bring to the table. And then we have learned experiences. We have learned experiences from problems and challenges. We have learned experiences from things we scroll and read on Facebook. Oh, I shouldn't say that. On Insight Timer. But things that we scroll and read, right? We learn some things there. We learn some things here. Conversations. as we get all this information, it comes into the word I'm hearing is a channel or a siphon. It's like a funnel. And so we have all the stuff we bring to it, all the stuff we get. As those things happen, what feels like was in alignment moments ago is all of a sudden no longer in alignment because we know something different, right? And so, as we know something different, it is perfectly okay to change your mind. And I'm hearing that I'm supposed to say that kind of loudly and with exuberance because there's some of us here that are struggling with feeling like we're being wishy-washy or weak or uncertain or whatever. But instead, it's perfectly okay to change your mind. You are now a different person than you were 5 minutes ago. Something I've said now in the last 20 minutes here has already infiltrated, and you have a different mindset than you did 30 seconds ago, right? And so as we are integrating information, that's what I'm hearing, as we are integrating and funneling information into this soup of stuff that's our self and our personal experience and all those things, and as we are open to integrating information, we're going to be asked to check and question constantly, is this still in alignment? Is this still in alignment? And so, not to drive yourself crazy worrying about if it's still in alignment, but if it doesn't feel right, if it doesn't feel like it's still in alignment, you can change your mind. And that is anything from eating something different than you were planning on for supper, or it could be changing your relationship, big or small, But if something is not in alignment and you've changed your mind, okay, it's okay to change your mind, all right? That said, I just heard a little, as long as it's coming from that deeper place, that place of knowing. And so that's the next bit of messaging that I'm hearing. So I'm just going to take a sip before I continue talking. I got mango tea today. What I'm hearing is it's really important to cultivate and practice the exact words I'm hearing. Cultivate and practice a sense of knowing. Understand where your sense of knowing comes from. For most people, it comes from the area of the heart and solar plexus combined. Some people, it's in the sacral chakra. Some people, it's actually as in the words I'm getting are. Some people, it's actually as an etheric vibration, and sometimes it's all of that all together. And it's really important to spend some time figuring out where your sense of knowing happens. On a side note, that's a little workshop I'm trying to create. Is learning how to get in touch with understanding where your knowing comes from. If anyone wants to be a guinea pig, later I'll put that in and we can, that's a workshop I'm working on. So, but what I am hearing is that it's important to come, maybe that's why I've been asked to do the workshop. I just put that together. Interesting. Okay, sorry, I just got a little, because I felt called in a meditation practice that this is what I need to do and put myself out there teaching this. And now I'm hearing that this is the messaging. So it's like, oh, okay, that's why I'm called to do this. All right, anyway, sorry. Yes, learning where this is housed in your own body. Okay, so for me, and it's changed. There's different, depending on the messaging and where I was in my evolution of hearing and understanding, it's changed. When I first started receiving messaging, I would get a warm, tingly feeling at the back of my neck. And I used to call it a kiss because it felt very loving, like this little loving tap on the back of my neck. And that would be okay, pay attention. There's some messaging coming, right? And then I would have to stop and I would listen and then I would hear it. When I first started getting that, I would literally lose control of my face. I'd cry, I'd feel numb. It was like my body didn't know how to receive the messaging. Now it's so second nature that I hear it and I'm, oh, okay, and it's so instantaneous. But it's a learning process. But what I'm hearing is spend some time figuring out for yourself where in your body messages are housed. Where in your body do you hear things? Or how do you hear things? And then it's important to figure out, and so this goes back to the bit of like the changing your mind. Changing your mind because you're afraid, because of pressure, because of anxiety, because of uncertainty, those kinds of things, that's different, right? And sometimes that's called, for perseverance and whatnot, keep moving forward. But when it's that sense of knowing that this is no longer in alignment with what I need right now in this moment, then that's when it's important to feel confident in being able to change your mind. So there's kind of different layers of changing your mind. So what I'm hearing is advice, because now I'm like, okay, that's kind of confusing. We just said, it's okay to change your mind and da da da. But now I'm hearing, it has to come from that place of knowing, or not. It has to. Sorry, I just got wrong words. Not it has to. It is best practice if it comes from a place of knowing. I also just heard to say, because I kind of went ahead of myself, and Skin Suit Nancy was talking versus the messaging. Even if you're working from places of anxiety and fear and whatnot, that's also forms of communication, and all forms of communication need to be listened to. That was what I was asked to clarify. However, how we listen to it and what we do with it differs. When it comes from that place of knowing, and you just have a sense, even if you can't explain it, even if you can't tell people, this is why I'm changing my mind, this is what I'm doing, even if you just know, then absolutely be confident in your need to change your mind. If it's coming from, these places of anxiety or fear or pressure, it's important that we ask, is this mine? Is this desire to change direction, is it actually mine? And then where is that yes or no housed in your body? Because often we'll get that information. No, it's actually not mine. I want to change my mind because I'm of pressure, or okay, I just heard the words emotional imbalance, which I'm guessing is like, yeah, I just got clarity, like anxiety, or perceiving things from a lower state. Okay, so let me just explain what that is as I'm listening to it. So, okay, when we are in a lowered state, so there's certain emotions, certain ways of being that lower our state when we're experiencing fear, stress, depression, sadness, anxiety. Like those things lower our vibrations. When we are working from and making decisions from the lower vibrational energy places, it's like putting on sunglasses in a darkened room. We can't clearly see the whole scenario. So we might stumble, we might trip, we might make a mistake, we might fall, whatever. Because when you're trying to make decisions from those, I just heard the words caution states is the terminology I'm being asked to use, because there's no judgment. When I say higher vibrational or lower vibrational, we can't exist in higher vibrational all the time. We're human beings. We can't do that. Until we ascend into a different form, we can't stay in higher vibrational all the time. So we're going to fluctuate. So there's no hierarchy about it. There's no this is good and this is bad. However, when you're in a place of trying to make decisions, when you're in a place of trying to, know the direction you need to go, doing it from a lower vibrational state is like walking in a dark room with sunglasses on, right? With blinders on, or at worst a blindfold. You can't clearly see. And so making decisions from that state, that's not the time to make decisions. That's not the time to change your mind. However, when you elevate your state, even just for a short period of time, even if it's just for, you've done some meditation, or you've gone for a walk, or you've, pet your dog, or made some art or whatever, and you've elevated your vibrational state, that's the time to take a look and go, is this decision in my alignment right now? So just be aware of your vibrational state and where that information is coming from as you are making decisions. And then at that time, if you need to pivot and change, even if you just said, okay, this is what I'm doing, nope, this is what I'm doing, that's okay. Because like I said, as you're getting in information, as you're having new experiences, I just heard even as you're energetically being communicated with, because sometimes we're not even aware of communication. It's just coming often in sleep state. I don't remember my dreams anymore. I used to, I don't anymore. But I know I get communication in my dreams, so I just heard energetic communication is valid as well. So if you all of a sudden feel like, oh, I need to pivot and change directions, you may have received communication that you're not even aware of. So it's not a bad thing, but it is asking us to just be aware of where that communication, sorry, I'm just going to move this a little bit, where our communication is coming from and where our vibrational state is before we make those decisions. We've talked at length in other lives of different ways to elevate your vibrational state. But what I'm hearing, every single one of us has been given like genetic encoding for what elevates our vibrational state. So for me, it's trees. If I am low in any capacity, the moment I go to the trees, even if it's just the tree in my front little area here, I'm instantly elevated. That is my genetic coding. So what I'm hearing is every single person, human, has been given some genetic encoding for their ticket to elevate their vibrational state. And it's about figuring out what your encoding is. Now, how do you figure out your encoding? Okay. So it's very simple was what I heard. And the reason why I heard it's very simple is because we make it harder than it is. We want it to be some kind of magical key that unlocks the door. But what it is what brings you joy. The very thing that brings you joy or brings you closer to a feeling of love. Now, I'm not talking romantic love, lustful love, although that can bring you joy. It's just usually has its own roller coaster with that. We're talking things like, for me, trees, right? A tree doesn't have to do anything. I just go into a forest and I right away feel better, right? That is me, right? For some people, it's mountains. Some people, it's going for a run. Some people, it's painting or creating. Some people, it's singing. Some people, it's their pets or their animals. Some people, it's children. Some people, it's cooking. Whatever it is that brings you joy and into a place, okay, what I just heard is into a place of flow. So when you are in a place of flow, that means when time seems to be moving quickly, when whatever you're doing is it's just feeling natural. It's just moving, For some people, that's in the kitchen. For me, that's not a place of flow. As my kids who are on here can testify. But for some people, that is their place of flow. For me, it's trees, And so finding what brings you joy. And just like everything, this is what I'm hearing, just like everything, you got to practice. And sometimes you have to try different things, because yes, trees bring me joy, but also when I used to play with clay. I used to do like sculpture, and I haven't in a long time because I don't have access to a kiln right now, but I would just zone in and it would just bring me to a place of sort of elevated state. For some people, it's meditation. And so anything that brings you bliss and joy, true bliss and joy, and puts you in a state of flow is what is going to elevate your vibration. And so practice this week, practice finding as you're in a state of like feeling bliss and joy, be like, okay, this is probably one of my connections to elevate my state, and then note it. And so then when you're in a lower vibrational state, you can elevate your vibrational state by enjoying whatever it was. And like I said, we cannot stay in an elevated vibrational state all the time. We're not designed for that. Human beings, and we're all humans here as far as I know, are not designed to stay in an elevated vibrational state for forever, right? There has to be some ebb and flow. Now, some people that have, ascended in certain ways can maintain a higher level of vibrational state more of the time. But as a human being, this is what I'm hearing. This is not Nancy talking. This is what I'm hearing. As a human being, you can't maintain that state all the time. So this is the next bit of messaging that I'm hearing, is there are a lot of us here that are on pathways towards becoming more in tune to that higher vibrational state, more in tune to the communication that exists, to elevation, to that divine source, bliss, love, collective consciousness, collective wisdom. We are all here because we are elevating and we're becoming in tune to those things. However, what sometimes happens is that we start to chase it. We've had that experience. We want more. I am so guilty of this. As this is like, yep, I'm hijacking this part of the reading right now because I've had some amazing magical experiences that are just, transcending. And I want another one. I want more. I want more. I want more. And I realize that I can't keep that all the time. So I can, ease into, okay, I'm in a lower vibrational state right now because the situation that I'm in or the place that I'm in, if I was in an elevated state, that would be difficult. And then I can bring myself back up to it. But I'm hearing, be careful not to chase that elevated state. And there's a difference. The wording that I'm hearing is that your elevated state, when it comes from the place of flow, is a natural progression. You're open to the flow. You're open to that elevated state as opposed to climbing to that elevated state. Now, that said, there is some discipline and there is some work. If you're meditating, I know there is some self-discipline there. I have to control my monkey mind a lot when I meditate because it's like, blah, 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 blah. And then next thing I know, I'm either sleeping or planning my day. And it's like, oh, right, I need to, even if I'm listening to a recording sometimes. So it does take some discipline. But discipline, self-discipline is different than climbing, right? When we're trying to climb to that elevated state, we're already in a state of anxiousness. We're already in a state of stress, which is a lower vibrational state. So when you come from that place of flow and gratitude and love and bliss and joy, you naturally elevate to that state. And then the self-discipline can come where you can okay, I'm going to choose to focus on things that bring me love and joy and bliss as opposed to the things that bring me stress. That's not saying that you're going to be false positive and, you're not going to, pretend that those things aren't happening, but you can focus on those things in a problem-solving way, and then you can, move forward with them, or you can note, wow, this really sucks. I feel like garbage right now. This makes me really sad, whatever. I need to have a cry. And then, allow yourself that time, but then be like, okay, what can help me elevate my vibration? For me, I'm going to go have a cry at the trees. And then by the time I'm done, I'm feeling better, right? So recognizing that it's not about climbing, it's about opening and elevating and being in that place of flow. All right, I'm take a sip of tea. That was a lot. I'm just going to read the chat. Cecilia, I enjoy the word devotion in place of discipline. I like that because it's not about being harsh. It's not about you're terrible if you don't do this. It's about being open to the practice, being committed to a practice, whatever it is, to holding that practice as a place of importance. That's why I like that word devotion. I like that. Fabulous. Let me just see what else. Yovita, you're so sweet. Hi to all the new people here. Nancy's amazing, so stay tuned. Stay to listen collective messages for the week. You are the sweetest. Thank you, Yovita. Awesome. And welcome to all the new people. I love it. Kima, I hope I'm saying your right name right. Kima. And Sean, wonderful. And Kathy, wonderful. Fresnel, absolutely. And Fresnel asked a question, how would I know my encoding? I think I answered that. I think the powers that be heard your question and came out my mouth. That's how it works. I'm channeling you guys. Okay. I'm just going to see if there's any more messaging for the group. Okay. So we've talked about this one before. I know I've it's been a while, but I know I've shared this one before because I remember right after I shared it, I saw a little meme, like a Facebook or whatever, some kind of meme that where someone lights a candle and then that light spreads. So what I'm hearing is that as humans, we have all been genetically encoded to find that higher vibrational place, and that we are all capable of higher vibrational energy. Every single human is capable of higher vibrational energy. There is an element of free choice involved. We can choose to elevate our energy, or we can choose not to. We can choose to limit the energy as well. Now, what I'm hearing to remind ourselves, and this is like a little bit of, it's our responsibility as humans to elevate human consciousness. And it's not just about us. We do it for ourselves, 100%, to elevate so that we can live in a higher state. But it's also important that we're doing it so that others feel it, recognize it, see it. So what I'm hearing is to take note that when you are in a higher vibrational state, children, animals, other people are attracted to you. They are interested in what you have to say. They're interested in who you are. There is an energetic force that draws people to higher vibrational people. There is also an energetic force that draws people to lower vibrational people. There's this kind of polar draw. It's like, which way do I want to go, right? So by being somebody that exists in a higher vibrational plane more of the time, knowing that we can't be there all the time, it helps to draw people as a whole up into that higher vibrational plane. So I'm hearing to tell you a story. So a while back, shortly, I know this is why I know I had this messaging, because I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was sort of along these lines. Then I went and taught a thing about kindness to some students, and we turned out the lights, and I gave one student a flashlight, and then I gave another student a flashlight, another student a flashlight, until eventually all the flashlights kind of lit up the room enough that we could see each other. And we talked about, what happened. And as one person had the flashlight, someone else it lit. Now, when we are living in a higher vibrational state, when we are showing kindness, love, generosity, compassion, forgiveness, freedom, I'm not sure why that word's coming in, but freedom. Oh, non-judgment. Sorry, I misunderstood the word. Non-judgment. So being non-judgmental, being open to others. We automatically create light, that divine light, that collective consciousness light. As that light is glowing, it's just like the flashlight. As another light's glowing, as another light is glowing, we end up then elevating and lighting up all of this. And so it allows us to create. Interesting. I'm hearing the word freedom again. It allows us to create. Okay, I'm not understanding freedom. Oh, okay. It frees us from that lower vibrational energy. It frees us from being attracted to that lower vibrational energy, because it gives us more things to look at, to experience and be. It's like a sense of hope, right? Oh, this is beautiful. Actually, as I'm hearing it and feeling it, I was getting the word freedom. I'm like, I don't understand what that is. But no, now I understand. It actually frees us to allow us to recognize that there are things to be hopeful about. When you are surrounded by this constant bombardment, I actually had to turn off some social media recently because a lot of stuff that was going on politically and whatnot was just really starting to bring me down, and I was having trouble elevating myself because I was stuck there, because that's all I was seeing. Negative, 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 negative. That's all I was seeing. When we have the opportunity to be connected to higher vibrational energy, so we elevate ourselves, it actually frees us from that lower vibrational energy. It frees us from that. And it provides more inspiration, more hope, more guidance, mentorship, whatever, for others to elevate as well. So, by us elevating and helping to raise our own vibration, we actually free ourselves and human consciousness in general from the quagmire of negativity that's going on. I'm just going to check the chat here. Queen Shabbat Freedom. Oh, Shabbat came on. Hello, Shabbat. Hello, Nancy, my darling. I just finished a class, and freedom is a big vibe word for me. I just joined. Well, there you go. I picked up on you. Shabbat is a very aware, in tune, beautiful human being that I've just recently also connected with, and definitely, she's also a teacher on Insight Timer. Definitely recommend going to work and see what she does. And Jovita as well, I have also connected with and worked. So thank you for being part of this. But yes, I was just getting the word freedom, wasn't fully understanding. So Shabbat brought her beautiful energy into the mix. There we go. Welcome, welcome. Okay. Good to be here. Hi, Finale. We do every Sunday. When I retire in a year, I plan on doing more. But right now, working full time, raising my granddaughter, makes it a little difficult to find the time. But I would love to do these talks every day. But I do record the first part so that it can be available to anyone anytime. And I have previous recordings available as well. Oh, Vega, you're so sweet. Thank you. I feel like I have been gifted a voice that people want to listen to. I don't hear it. When I hear it, I think I sound like a child. When I listen to my recordings, I feel like my voice, but I've been told it enough times that I just trust and believe that it must be true, even if I don't hear it myself. Awesome. Oh, you have a group called Freedom Angels. Well, there you go. I'll have to look into that. Melinda, I was immediately thinking that you were sending that into Nancy said. You probably were. If you just joined on, I kept hearing the word freedom and I wasn't fully understanding where that was coming from, but my job is to channel you, all of you here. There's 116 people here. I am hearing what your souls are collectively saying. This is what we need to hear right now. And that's what I'm hearing. All right. So I'm going to turn off this recording.